It's Monday, June 23rd.
We know it's going to be a very long time before Iran can even build a nuclear weapon if they want to.
The U.S. claims it has set back Iran's nuclear program for years, as Iran once again vows payback for strikes on 3 of its facilities. EU summit. Prime Minister Mark Carney takes part in a wreath-laying ceremony at a Belgian cemetery this morning, ahead of a summit with EU leaders in Brussels.
We're doing a lemonade stand and we have a little treats, but we're out of lemonade.
Lemonade, ice cream, some pool time. People in Ontario and Quebec need to do what they can today to beat the heat.
As a kid, you dream, and every kid dreams, but you don't ever really know if it's going to come true. And I'm just glad and happy that my dreams have been able to come true.
A dream end to a dream season. Canada's very own Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is an NBA champion and a finals MVP. Stay with us, Canada. Your morning starts right now. Good morning, Canada. Welcome to Your Morning. I'm Anne-Marie Mediwake.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lindsey Deluce.
Kelsey McEwen. Happy Monday.
Hot.
So hot.
So hot. Do we agree? You open the door and it's just like this wall of heat.
I know. So my mom yesterday flew back from here to Calgary.
Right.
And I texted her when she landed and I was like, Mom, it feels like 44 right now. And she's like, well, it is like 30 degrees colder here. Like it's so much cooler on the western half, but that's part of why it's so hot here, is you have to have the yin with the yang, and we certainly have that across the country.
We'll be talking about that all morning long. We're also talking about, of course, Iran, once again vowing retaliation this morning. This is in response to the U.S. strikes on its nuclear sites. The U.S. says it hit 3 Iranian nuclear sites on Saturday night. Iran's top military leaders met this morning as they decide on their next move. Iran says the U.S. attack has now expanded its list of possible targets for its military. Iran's supreme leader has also sent his top diplomat to Moscow to ask for more help from Russian President Vladimir Putin.
We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program.
Top U.S. officials say the strikes were not about toppling Iran's government. However, U.S. President Donald Trump floated the idea of a regime change in Iran. He wrote this online, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change?" Meanwhile, Canada is calling for a return to the negotiation table.
We want to see a resolution to this issue. We want to see the negotiations resume, and we want to see peace.
Prime Minister Mark Carney posted an update this morning saying, quote, "I spoke with President Trump overnight. We focused on de-escalating the conflict in the Middle East, our shared commitment to a stronger NATO at this week's summit, and the progress in the ongoing trade negotiations between our countries." Meanwhile, Prime Minister Carney's in Europe for back-to-back summits with defense at the top of the agenda.
It is a fraught time, and European allies and Canada are going to be working in lockstep.
The first stop is at the Canada-EU Summit in Brussels today, where he's expected to sign a new security and defense pact with European Union nations. The meeting is also expected to touch on their partnership and maritime security. Tomorrow, Prime Minister Carney will travel to The Hague for the 2-day NATO summit, where increasing defense spending will be a priority. Some people can return home after wildfire evacuations east of Halifax. So the fire in Musquodoboit Harbor burned close to homes. It grew quickly Sunday. At one point, crews fighting the fire had to be pulled from the woods for their own safety. Rain did help progress and to stabilize the fire, so rain helped with that. People living near the fire area are being told to keep your windows closed, turn off air exchangers until air quality improves.
We go back home and there's another fire that all of us will be scattering around and be in different places. Like, I don't want to experience this anymore.
In Manitoba, nearly 1,000 wildfire evacuees have returned home. An evacuation alert has been lifted for the town of Lynn Lake. The evacuation order for Flin Flon is scheduled to be lifted on Wednesday. Fires in Manitoba have burned more than 902,000 hectares of land this year. That's an area, by the way, larger than Ottawa. Let's talk about the heat. It's going to be another hot one today as this heat dome lingers over Ontario and Quebec.
It's hard to be out with small kids, so we decided to come earlier to the park so they can enjoy a bit the time off, and then they can get back home.
That's the way to do it right there. Woo! Alerts in Ontario and Quebec warning of extreme heat and humidity. Parts of the Maritimes could feel this increasing heat and humidity today and tomorrow. And when it's this hot outside, people do whatever you can to stay cool, right? That means heading to the pool, going out to grab some ice cream, trying to find some air conditioning as well. In some spots, the temperature could feel as high as the mid-40s with the humidity. Woo. People are being told be careful and, of course, check on one another.
Always a good thing to do is to check in on your neighbors, your relatives, your friends.
To protect yourself from the heat, Environment Canada advises limiting time outside. And if you have to go out, try to do it during the cooler times of the day. Drink plenty of water. As we know, the heat should start to ease by Wednesday. But of course, Kelsey will have more details coming up in her weather. And with heat warnings in effect for southern Quebec, some schools in the province could close today. The province's education minister posted this on social media yesterday. He has instructed school service centres to bring in measures to mitigate the effects of the heat wave. It will be up to boards and service centres to decide whether to shut down classes. Parents and guardians are being told to check online this morning before school starts. Temperatures in some areas of Quebec are expected to feel like more than 40 degrees Celsius over the next couple of days. The Oklahoma City Thunder have their long-awaited NBA title.
The Thunder have taken the NBA by storm. For the first time, the NBA champion resides in Oklahoma City. The storybook season is complete.
It is complete. Look at that. The Thunder beating the Pacers 103-91 in Game 7 last night. Game 7 capped an incredible season. I mean, the Thunder won 84 games between the regular season and the playoffs. That ties them with the 1996-97 Chicago Bulls for the third most in any season. You follow? This is actually the franchise's second title. They won in 1979, but that was when the team was still in Seattle, but moved to Oklahoma City in 2008. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was excellent last night, putting up 29 points, 12 assists, and he was named Finals MVP.
The same player won the regular season MVP, the scoring title, and now he's your Finals MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
From Hamilton, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander topping off one of the best individual seasons in NBA history with being named Finals MVP. Shai and Montreal's Lou Dort are the 11th and 12th Canadians to win an NBA title. It's pretty awesome. This is interesting. Researchers in southern Finland have identified the wreck of a ship that was first discovered 50 years ago.
We have realized that a lot of this ship still is preserved, and it rests very shallow water.
So they were able to identify it thanks to a digital 3D model of the ship created by the Finnish Maritime Archaeological Society. So here's what they've uncovered. This was a Swedish warship, that's hard to say, called Falcon. It was considered the little sister to a pretty famous ship called Vasa. It was likely constructed around the same time, like shipbuilders as Vasa, so that was around 1631. They believe the ship sunk 20 years later. Why it sunk, unclear. Vasa sunk during its maiden voyage in 1628, but was salvaged in the 60s, is now on display in Stockholm.